Hey everybody, I'm Jesse, and welcome to another edition of Gen X Thinks. And Gen X Thinks Live. This is what, Thursday morning now? Um, so to kick this off, I was thinking about this last couple of days. In my lifetime, I've really tried to think of a disease or something that has been cured in my lifetime, and I can't. I haven't been able to come up with one. Oliver Rust, what's up, Oliver? But we have, as a society, we have donated and contributed and funded hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars just into cancer research, trying to find a cure for cancer. Okay? And we don't have one. In my entire life, they've been searching, poured uncountable resources into this cancer research, and they haven't found shit, right? They've had advancements, but we're still using the same archaic radiation to treat cancer. And if you think about it, you have to go clear back to the turn of the 20th century, back to 1900. It was like 1901 or 2 or some shit like that when they discovered penicillin. That was the last real cure, and that would, that's a microbial thing or whatever. But the discovery of penicillin, and just the fact that we created indoor plumbing, and our hygiene just became so much better from 1900 until to the year 2000. Our hygiene just became so much better between then. Before that, I mean, you'd take a bath maybe once a month or 2 months. People probably wouldn't bathe all winter back then in the 1700s, 1800s. People didn't bathe like, just like regularly like we do. They didn't wash their clothes but once every 3 or 4 months. They just had no hygiene like we do now. And just improving our level of hygiene by such a drastic measure, that got rid of a lot of disease. But that in itself, you know what I'm saying? That just lowered the communicability of diseases. It slowed the transfer by massive amounts. So you think about those two things, penicillin and hygiene, and that accounts for a lot of like diseases and deaths and stuff that we just completely eradicated with those two things, infections and communicable diseases. But since then, what have we don't have a cure for AIDS. Yeah, they'll sell you a pill, and basically it's a subscription for the rest of your life. You pay us our money every month for the rest of your life, and you can stay alive. If not, you die. That's it. That's the way it is with AIDS. No cure for it. Nope. They can they can help you survive cancer. They can't cure it. There's no, hey, they don't give you a medicine and you go take this for a week and your cancer's gone. You know what I mean? Or take this shot 3 times in the next 3 months and your cancer is gone. 100%, that's a cure. And that's what I'm talking about, curing that shit. Once you get it, they can cure it. Now, I'm not talking about vaccines either. That's preventative. Once you have the disease, there's no curing it. And they haven't cured the common cold, not the flu, not AIDS, nothing except with penicillin. If you get the clap or something, you can go to the doctor and get a penicillin shot. But other than that, no, they can't cure herpes, nothing. They can cure nothing. And it's just crazy to me that we have put so much effort and resources into these cures, and nothing. We get nothing out of it. Absolutely nothing, except a lifelong subscription to manage our affliction, our disease, or whatever it is. You know, like with AIDS, you can get a lifelong subscription to medication to manage the symptoms of AIDS and keep you alive, but you can't. They can't cure the disease, or they either can't or they won't. I don't know which. Who we got here? Crabman, Tripwire, Living Inactive, Jeff7. Hey everybody, Ezekiel, what's up, Zeke? Good morning, buddy. Yeah, so that's just been on my mind last few days. So that's what I figured I'd kick this morning off with. If y'all want to change the subject, talk about something more interesting. I've been working a lot, so haven't been paying much attention to anything. If something cool has happened or interesting, put it in the comments and let me know. We'll talk about that. But it really, it just blows my mind just how much, because since I was my entire life, since I was born, since I was a child, I remember the entire time people talking about cancer research and find a cure for cancer and donate money to the cure for cancer and all that shit. And people are still doing it to this day. So as far as I know, for 54 years, people have been donating money to find a cure for cancer. 54 years. We found out how to talk to people in China instantly. Okay. We found out how to create AI and all this shit, but we haven't found a cure for cancer. But they're good at. But we found out how to pass a law to make sure that you don't use anything but radiation to fight your cancer. In the United States, anyway, you're not allowed to use anything except the radiation and the chemotherapy and all that shit in the United States. They've done that. Now, why? It's anybody's guess. But yeah, it just blows my mind, the amount of resources. OG, what's up? Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I agree, dude. Yep, I did a whole video on Sharia law a while ago because I didn't know a lot about it, so I looked it up and I talked about it, and that shit is wild. And people are supporting that shit and have no idea what the hell is even in it. Yeah. It says in there that that they are commanded to lie to people to spread Islam. Number one, that's not, maybe that's not number one on the list, but that's the big. They have to lie by law to spread Islam, because nobody else in the world's going to accept that bullshit, right? And the other really bad one is that it's perfectly legal to rape a woman, a female, as long as she's not Islamic. Yeah, as long as she's a, whatever they call them, heathen or whatever. I don't know what they call them. And there was no distinction in age there. So it doesn't matter if she's 12 or 98. It doesn't matter. There's no distinction there. If it's a female and she's she's a Christian or a Buddhist or something, well, yeah, she's free game. So yeah, it's disgusting, dude. I mean, really disgusting. Yeah. Yep. Anthrax, yeah, Jeff7. My left hand. Oh, paint. Automotive paint. Okay, yeah. Automotive paint. That shit just doesn't come off. And it's actually cold down here right now. And that the stuff to take it off, lacquer thinner, it's so cold. It's just it's painful. And I really don't give a shit. So I don't think about it when I do. At the end of the day, I want to come home, and so I just let it wear off. Eventually, after about 3 showers and 12 hand washings, it'll come off. Yeah. Yeah, I see all those kind of stories, OG, about there's one in England over there where a guy just grabbed a little girl off the street and started dragging her off, and she started screaming and shit, and they come over there and stopped him, and he just looked befuddled, like, what are y'all doing? Like, that I'm, you know, he was completely befuddled as to why anyone would interfere with that completely normal thing he was doing, dragging a little 12-year-old girl off. It's insane, dude. Underground, what's up? Yeah, no, actually, right now, dude, it's in the low 40s, and yeah, yeah. What I was talking about cold was during the day. It was 60s. Yeah, yeah. Here early in the morning now. For this week anyway, it's gonna be in the 40s. But yeah, you're right, dude. Well, you're not far off anyway, by about 2 degrees. I think it was like 67, 68 yesterday, and it felt frigid. Yeah, gutting gators again. Yeah, wood chipper. Yeah, that it's insane, dude. And that shit, I think it's Minnesota that's it's happening over there, and New York and all this shit with these people coming over here, and it's not gonna be good. Bucky, what's up, Bucky? Glad to see you here, man. You know, yeah, yeah, me too, OG. But yeah, we see this shit happening, and it's happening here in the United States. Yeah, but it's way worse in other countries like the UK. It's just it might be too late to save the UK, if it ever was possible. Um, so yeah, UK's really bad. Australia's got it bad, from what I understand. Most countries across Western civilization have it as bad or worse than the United States. Canada's bad. Canada's really bad with that shit too. So yeah, we're not alone in that. The United States, we're not alone. They're doing it to Western civilization. Yeah, and in a couple more generations, we won't be recognizable unless unless an apocalypse happens and puts a screeching halt to all this shit. But I've been keeping my fingers crossed for that for 20 years, and it hasn't happened. So Michigan, is it? Okay, OG. All right, Michigan. You know, yeah, yeah. Tripwire and his gang over there, they're trying hard to save Australia. I wish them the best. So yeah, hopefully they can ignite something over there and get something started that burns through the rest of Western civilization. Maybe the Australians can save us all. 24 right now underground. Ouch. Yeah, that's cold, dude. Yeah, that's damn cold there. Yeah, OG, I agree. I hope they do. They do too. Everyone does as a civilization, dude. But I honestly, I go back and forth with it. Really, I see good people, in Australia and the United States, and even in England, standing up and trying to not just save our way of life or whatever, but it's save good versus bad. You know, stop evil. You know what I'm saying? And I get hope sometimes, and then other times I see the just the massive amount of stupid people who don't care, don't want to care, don't, and so and then I get kind of nihilistic, and I think it's all just pointless. But I go back and forth. You know what I'm saying? You see so many people who are just chasing the next hottest gadget, the phone, the uh, gaming system, or whatever their thing is, and That's all, that's all they really care about, and nothing else. you know don't give a shit about anything else. And each person can make that decision, but they don't even realize that they've been completely, just consumerized, right? Yeah, yeah, Zeke, we haven't. We'll see. I don't know. This whole thing, in my opinion, this has been going on for several generations. It's a dumbing down, brainwashing of the population, uh, and it's a slow process. I mean, these people haven't been there in Michigan and New York. They just didn't come over here on a boat yesterday. They've been there for decades and slowly growing their population. This has been happening for a long time. That this has been a plan that is, just now coming to fruition. This yet they're just not, uh, parachuting out of planes by the millions over there. Although the last administration did let quite a few million of them over here, but this has been a generational thing, right? It's been going on for a long, long time. So yeah, the analogy of the frog in the pot and turning up the heat and the water slowly coming to a boil, that fits exactly, the situation here. And people, you know, not only are most of them refusing to wake up to it, a lot of them are celebrating it and supporting it. So yeah, it's utterly, it's just mind blowing. It's dystopian. It literally is dystopian. Yeah, yeah. No, my issue in general, yeah. I'm on the same page with Underground there. My issue in general isn't with everyday people. I despise corporations, government, politicians, despise them across the board. Just be honest. You know what I'm saying? Now, individuals have to do something heinous, right? I don't despise individual people for just, because I want to, because they choose to operate under one religion or the other, or their skin color is one way or the other. I just don't give a shit about that. But I do despise child molesters, shit like that. Yeah, somebody spark a fire in some arsonist spark a fire in California and burn down 1 million acres of forest. Yeah, I despise that son of a bitch. He needs to be hung by his neck until he's dead. So, um, and we'll see if YouTube will let that fly. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But I mean, come on. You see people doing this heinous shit, and then people want to claim to be civilized because we have iPhones and drones and shit. Technology does not equal civilization. Technology is just damn technology. Civilization, being civilized, is ideological. You know, we don't harm each other. We don't engage in these pointless wars. We don't let corporations rob the shit out of us. That shit is dystopian. We don't civilized, these communist regimes throughout history have, they weren't civilized. You know what I mean? That's barbaric. These totalitarian dictatorships and shit. That's barbaric. Civilization is groups of people living in harmony with each other. That's civilized. Not um, molesting children and all this. That's all horrifying, barbaric shit. So yeah, uh, robbery and rape and all these crimes committed, and I'm talking about committed by our politicians now, and our government, uh, and our corporations and all this bullshit, the pharmaceutical industry, they're, they commit heinous crimes every day, and people just don't bat an eye. Just because a corporation is committing the rape and the robbery and the murder, we're supposed to be civilized because it's this corporate entity that's killing all these people, and not some barbarian dictator like Genghis Khan. You know what I mean? It's still the same shit. We've just shifted the thing and call it a corporation, whatever you want to name. Corporation X killed 10 million people last year. You know what I mean? Corporation X robbed and impoverished 10 million people last year. Well, if some dictator in a fur, loincloth did it, it'd be barbarism. But now you got some corporate asshole doing it. It's civilized bullshit. It's the same shit, in my opinion. Shannon, what's up, Shannon? Yeah, you're right. You're right. Underground Muslims aren't with that, and that's the crazy thing about it. Um, the LBG feminists, they want to support Muslims, and the Muslims will eradicate them as fast as they could. Yeah, well, that slowed it down. They're working their way around it, OG, around the constitutional republic. They're just dismantling the Constitution. So, yeah, it slows shit down, but it's still, the train's still moving toward this dystopian future. It's just, in a constitutional republic, the train is just moving slower. Chad, what's up, dude? Yeah, that I sometimes I have hope for it, Chad, but a lot of times I that's what I say, Chad. Here, the country is doomed. Now it's gone. And society is overwhelmingly shameful. I mean, when you got 10% of an entire generation on OnlyFans and doing all this shit, and to each their own. I'm not. I I don't believe that every woman should be, um, you know, whatever, punished or judged for being on OnlyFans or whatever. But when your societal structure is set up to the point where that many women, such a huge percentage of an entire generation, feel like they've got to go to OnlyFans and do disgusting shit in order to support themselves, there's a problem with society at large. There's an issue. Not to mention the moral, right? The moral lessons we have taught these girls to where they think that's okay. That's a viable option, right? They zero morals. So yeah, um, society at large is to blame for a lot of this shit, and I don't think there's any denying that. Oh, all right, yeah. Then that's the thing, uh, that these kids, some of them anyway, they don't necessarily have to be stupid, Bucky, but they're indoctrinated with that bullshit. You know what I mean? If the but they can they can be smart and still shut their mind to freedom and everything that's good in life. You know what I mean? It's crazy. And they might be the more dangerous ones, the ones who actually have some sense but are just so close-minded they refuse to listen to sense. You know what I mean? To common sense. Well, that's the thing now. The left, right? They have the left and the right, right? Now, what far right now is basically if you believe, or maybe not far right, but right, conservative or whatever now basically is if you believe everything that 99.9% of the human population has believed all the way up until 2020. And that's the crazy thing, is that this whole shift has happened so quickly, and because of the internet, because of the high speed nature of the internet and the high speed with which they can propagandize, and people like us, we're just sitting here talking common sense, but we're talking about corporations and governments who spend countless billions of dollars to brainwash these people. So it takes a lot to resist that brainwashing, especially at a young age, at the age of 23. Okay? That takes a lot. You've got to have a strong family unit around you to teach you better and to keep your mind in the realm of reality. You know what I'm saying? And it's just that's the reason they have systematically dismantled the nuclear family over the decades. That's why. And if you look back and see what's happened over time, the last 100 years, it's so obvious that it's a long-term plan. It's a plan that's unfolding. Okay? Why do they target women? Why are leftist women the worst ones? Why are they, why do they target women with all this shit? Because the women are the core of the family. Think about it like this. All right. When the Vikings came to England, took over England, they became the ruling class of England. All right. Why didn't England become pagan? Why didn't England start worshiping Thor and Odin and all them? The Vikings took it over. All right. Why did England remain Christian? Because the Vikings were mostly men. They came over, they took over, and they married English women. Killed off a lot of English dudes and married the English women. All right. Now, then they go out and do Viking shit, and the women are at home keeping the core together, the home together, and they're teaching their kids to be Christian. All right. They're teaching them Christian fundamentals. And finally, the Viking, how dudes are, we don't give a shit, whatever. One God's as good as the other one. Who cares? The old lady wants to be Christian. She can be Christian, whatever. The kids, I guess it don't matter, But, maybe he taught them a little bit about Thor and Odin or whatever. But eventually, maybe even some of the Vikings probably converted just to make their wives happy, So the wife is the core. The woman is the core of the family, right? So if you attack the wife, the woman in there, you disintegrate the nuclear family. And since I was a kid, I saw that shit when I was a kid. I was 10 years old and saw the propaganda and the brainwashing that was being aimed at my sisters at that young age. I was like, holy shit, they're really, they don't, magazines and stuff don't do that stuff to me. Aren't trying to, I didn't have the language back then. I didn't really understand, but I realized that they weren't trying to propagandize me, weren't trying to brainwash me at the same level that they were my sisters. And it's just true. They've systematically brainwashed the majority of young women, and they've dismantled the nuclear family by doing that. And this is the result, right? This is the result. We've got a bunch of young kids who have no common sense. They believe all this wacko shit about gender and whatever else, you know what I'm saying? They're putting out all this shit about minor attracted people. They're maps. They're not evil. They're not bad people. They're just, that's a preference, destroying a child's psyche and his life and everything. That's just a preference. That's not bad necessarily. You know what I mean? What horrifying bullshit. Yeah, I don't, like I said earlier, I don't give a shit if a woman wants to do OnlyFans or not. It's up to her. I don't give a shit, morally speaking or whatever. But, I mean, to each their own. But when you look at the stats, Underground, and you see that 10% is probably larger now, 10% of Generation Z is on there doing OnlyFans instead of, being productive members of society, instead of raising children and doing stuff, anything else besides sticking stuff up their butt on OnlyFans. I mean, anything else. Raise ants or, be an exterminator or whatever if you don't want to have a family. But, when you see this just at a statistical level, 10% of a population, okay, there's something wrong. And you could say that about anything. 10% of Generation Z women are whatever, they drink, boric acid or something. Okay, well, there's something wrong there, isn't there? I mean, you're free to drink boric acid if you want, but I really don't think that's good for you. There's something wrong at large when a society has 10% of a generation drinking boric acid. So I think that's something that should be looked at. Whether, you want to judge each individual, I don't, but, whatever. People, I believe in morals, but I don't believe in enforcing morals on other people. You know what I mean? Yeah, well, if he's got real common sense, he will wake up a bit. Yeah, Bucky, yeah. Yeah, he can't help. And that's what I said this before. Generation Z and these younger kids, we got to give them a little slack. We got to give them time to wake up, right? We were all, well, I was young and dumb when I was that age. And so, yeah, I give them a little slack for believing some of the shit they believe because they can grow out of that shit. There's an old saying. It says when you're young, if you're not on the left, you don't have a heart. But when you grow up, when you get older and you're not on the right, you don't have a brain. So, that's a thing that happens. Younger people kind of lean left, and they, but as you grow older, you learn more and you get more conservative and you realize what is actually best and what is actually true. So, no, Underground. I don't have an issue with sex work. That's not my point at all. I don't have an issue with sex work. Go, be a prostitute if they want to. I don't care. Let them do them. It'd be, prostitutes. I got no problem with prostitutes. Whatever. I'm just saying. But if 10% of an entire population was forced by the system to become prostitutes in order to stay alive, now I think there's a problem. That's my point. Okay? Prostitution should be legal. I don't see why it's not like it is in Las Vegas, around the country. Why is I don't, but we could go down that. That's not, it's two consenting adults. There's no victim. Boy, I hate victimless crimes more than I hate immorality. So no, I think prostitution should be totally legal. But I think if a significant percentage of the population is forced into prostitution by the system and the economy, then there is a problem. Okay? So, yeah, I think but nobody else agrees with me. So, it's just going to continue on. Who there's no telling what they'll be doing, what Generation X will be doing, right? Or Generation X. Generation Alpha, I guess, will be doing when they come of age. What 50% of them will be prostitutes, and the other, because AI will be doing OnlyFans by then. Yeah, nope, yeah. If people want to make money doing sex work, more power to them. I don't give a shit. Cash man, what's up? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, we can argue about, should people be moral? Should people be immoral? I do not agree with forcing moral rules on other people. Period. End of story. You do you. That's between you and God. I don't give a shit. You know what I'm saying? As long as you're not harming me or other people, then do whatever you do. You know what I mean? But at the same time, we have to have our eyes opened to what's going on around us. Do we want our entire country to dissolve into some kind of just immoral decay? Do we want everyone to be prostitutes and drug addicts and transgender whatevers? You know what I mean? Is that what we want for our children or our grandchildren? Maybe it is. If that's what the masses of society want, well, okay, well, whatever, you know. But I gotta think about it. I gotta ask the question: Is that okay? I don't know. I'm not I'm not trying to. I'm not king. I'm not king of the world. If I was king of the world, shit would be different. But I'm not. So yeah. Yeah, crap, man, that's true too. It might take them longer as a generation to grow up and to wake up to shit, to reality, crab man, because they have no hands-on experience with anything in life. Yeah. Underground. Yeah. Yeah. Namsha, what's up, Namsha? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Our warming of the globe. We're getting a fistful of it down here in Florida too. It's down in the 40s. It's supposed to be freezing tomorrow morning. So we'll see. Yeah, yeah, it's not very warm in an era of global warming. That's for damn sure. Yeah, Cash man. Yeah. Whether hard work is warranted or if we have a choice not to volunteer. Yeah, all that shit. Um, we as a society we could have stood up at any time. This we want to look around at the people around us, right, and blame each other right now. Okay, and that's a normal thing to do. I do it as well. I'm not blameless in this kind of shit. But at the same time, I can point out that this shit has been generational. It's been happening for a long time. We're just now starting to see the water boil around us, right? And but when the we got screwed when that central bank was instituted, the Federal Reserve, and the population of the United States did not stand up and reject it. We got screwed when they instituted the income tax, and the population of the United States did not stand up or sit down and politely and calmly and quietly reject it. No, we'll shut this son of a bitch down. We're going to shut this entire country down until you repeal that shit. Those those politicians back then screwed our country for the rest of time when they did that shit. And since then, it's been a downhill slide. We got screwed when we did not, when we allowed our government to take us off the gold reserve, the gold standard. The population of the United States allowed that back then in 1971, the year I was born. That was a screw job for the people of the United States, and we took it. We took it. We bent over and just accepted it. You know, Back then it was boomers. Before that it was whatever generation who gives it. It's been happening to us over decades, and we've taken it every single time. We accepted the Patriot Act. We should have done something then, and we didn't. So this whole time we're sitting there just treading water as it's heating up around us, and this is the result of it. Yeah, yeah, Cash, man, you're absolutely right. Jody, what's up, Jody? Glad to see you here. Yeah, yeah, technology. And if you think about it, Jody, technology could have been so wonderful, but it just didn't. It just took a different path, right? They just took it down a different path. But it could have been wonderful. But it's not. It sucks. Yeah, it's highly convenient in a lot of ways, but overall it sucks. OnlyFans is technology. OnlyFans. Uh, Facebook, any kind of OnlyFans is social media, just like anything else. It's just a different subject matter. Facebook, Twitter, whatever. The list goes on of all this social media bullshit, and all the spying, the technology they use for spying our phones and all that crap. Tracking in our cars now, we're tracked and spied on and shit. And yeah, it's gone the wrong way in my opinion. Yeah, I'd like to start a like the Amish, except further, more technology than the Amish, but I'd like to start a community that just paused technology in the 80s, and that's it. Landline phones, Super Nintendos, drive-in movie theaters. Yeah, but yeah, just do the same thing, except not for religious reasons, just for sanity and simplicity reasons. Do a whole community that froze technology in the 80s. Felix, what's up, Felix? Glad to see you here, man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If I was king, everybody'd be throwing gators everywhere, and everybody be in stocks. All the criminals would be in stocks, and we'd be tearing down the prisons. That's for damn sure. Yeah, I mean, come on. These people can argue this dumb shit, Cash Man. They really can. They can argue it all they want. But every single one of us, with the working, with all our working faculties and stuff, we know the difference between right and wrong. If you go out and you want to abuse an innocent animal, set it on fire or something, let's say, that's wrong. Inherently, you could get in trouble for it. It's wrong. Just because, let's say the city that I live in, they change the law and the zoning or whatever, and they say, okay, now it's okay now. It's legal to set cats on fire. All right. Now, if I went out and did that legally, it would be okay. I wouldn't get in trouble for it, but I'd still know it's wrong, right? It's wrong. Everyone knows that. So, at an inherent level inside us, we know the difference between right and wrong. That's just that we justify it. We talk all this shit and we justify it, and we make up these reasons, and we do, to do what we want to do and all this crap. But we still know that it's either right or wrong. It's good or bad. It's evil or not. Right? And that's just a truth. That is a basic truth of humanity. That's why we're not animals. That's why we're not, running on the plains of the Serengeti and dragging down wildebeest with our claws, because we have a sense of right and wrong in us. Okay? And so we know the difference between right and wrong. Chopping off a 7-year-old boy's junk because we've told him he was a girl. That's, everyone knows that's wrong. And no, nobody nobody thinks otherwise, truly. Some people will do it for, parents would do that to their children for status or whatever, to be accepted or whatever, but they know it's wrong still. They know down deep that it's wrong. You don't do that. You know what I'm saying? So I just think all that's bullshit. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? All that crap that people are doing. We know the difference between right and wrong, and we do wrong sometimes. Sometimes it's necessary, and we have to do it to get by. That doesn't make it right. All right? That doesn't make it right. It's still wrong. Artiste, what's up, Artiste? Yeah, living and active. Landline, VHS, 8 millimeter camcorder, typewriters. Yeah, all that shit, dude. I don't know. I didn't hear about that, Shannon. We've had that in Florida for a while. They passed that law in Florida a year or two ago. Yeah, yeah. See, okay, right there, Underground. Made 250K in 1 year. All right. Now, even if what she was doing was morally wrong and she knew it, to make, to pack away 250 grand in a year, you know, hell, you might transcend your moral boundaries there for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? For 250 grand, shit. You could set yourself up for life doing something that you might actually enjoy. Or maybe she actually enjoyed it, and maybe she stayed with it. Maybe she retired at that bitch. I don't know. But that's to each their own. If she had a good life doing that shit, hey, more power to her. You know. But still, yeah, having said that, we know the difference between right and wrong. Selling ourselves, our bodies, selling ourselves for someone else's base pleasures, it's not conducive to high self-esteem, overall happiness, general well-being. That it's wrong. But if somebody wants to do that and sock away 250 grand in a year, hell, more power to them. You know, especially if they're strong enough internally and mentally to not let all that shit get to them and lower their self-esteem and destroy their self-image and all that shit. So yeah, more, yeah. I don't have to each their own. I don't judge people for doing shit. Yes. Oh yeah, Underground. Make it illegal for corporations to own homes. Make it illegal for I would make so many laws against corporations, Underground. Make it illegal for corporations to own other corporations. Why the hell that there's no reason for that. There's no reason for Netflix to buy Warner Brothers right now. Warner Brothers can succeed or fail on their own. If they can't hack it, then they'll go away, and some other company will come up in their place. Let them file for bankruptcy. Why would that be a bad thing for some huge corporation, some blood-sucking entity of a corporation to go bankrupt and go belly up? Why is it this a bad thing now all of a sudden in this day and age? Oh, we can't. Why? So no, corporations shouldn't be able to buy land. I wouldn't say houses, Underground. I would say land, period, at all, unless it is zoned commercial, and then it should be a lease. They shouldn't be able to own anything, period. They aren't real. They're just these fictional entities in cyberspace. They're not a real thing. So no, they should not be allowed to own anything. A corporation should be able to lease commercial land, and that's it. So no, I would, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's just the tip of the iceberg underground from what I would do to corporations to limit corporation power if I was king of the world. Yeah. Popeye, what's up, Popeye? Glad to see you, man. Glad you could make it. Yeah, crab man, me too. I've got good memories from bad shit, bad decisions I've made, but they made some good memories. And I'm not saying I'm not up here claiming to be Jesus or anything. You know, I'm not the perfect example for morality, but I am able to distinguish between right and wrong. And I believe that most people on this planet can do the same thing. They're as capable as I am for distinguishing between right and wrong. And I know when I do something, and sometimes I choose to do the wrong thing because I feel like I have no choice, or I've got to make it through the day. I've got, rent to pay, or I got to keep the lights on or whatever. And sometimes I make a bad decision that I know is wrong. I know it. And I do it anyway. But that doesn't make it right all of a sudden. What if 10 people agreed with me and said it's right? And they justified my bullshit actions. What if enough? What if everybody except the victim said, well, Jesse was justified in what he did, so it was the right thing to do. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, no, that's all bullshit. We know the difference between right and wrong. We know. So all of this bullshit, propaganda, and normalization of all this heinous shit, it doesn't make it right. It just doesn't. And I'm not talking about religious and biblical and all this shit. I'm just talking about humanity, human people. Walking up and punching a little innocent 5-year-old kid in the face for no reason is wrong. We all know it. Don't do it. If you do it, then you're wrong. You're bad. We all know this shit. So justify it and all this stuff, and to say that it's okay, I don't give a shit if you do something that doesn't hurt anybody else. I don't give a shit. That means that, yeah, you can do wrong as long, if you're not hurting somebody else, but that doesn't make it right. I'm not going to sit here and convince myself that it's right. It's still wrong. But it's your decision. Go ahead. Fuck, I'm not going to, try to stop you. I believe in freedom as the utmost. The top is freedom. After that, then you have to disseminate down from there. Should you be free to do this? Sure. You're not hurting anybody else? Sure. Should you be free to do this? No, you're hurting someone else. You know what I'm saying? You're damaging or depriving someone else of their property. So no. Yeah, Bucky, yeah, they did. They opened up a bunch of fake accounts under people's names. You go in and start a checking account, and after you left, Wells Fargo would open up 5 more checking accounts under your name. Yeah. Retro Doomsday, what's up, dude? Did I say hey to you, Chad? What's up, Chad? I don't remember. What about boomboxes, Chad? Boomboxes weren't hipster shit, were they? Or are you just talking about stereo system that was in the living room and could not be moved? It was a two-person lift. Yeah, Felix. Yeah, I'm leaning that way, dude. I mean, digital is cool and high def and everything, but I honestly don't give a shit. Standard definition, analog, and all that shit. The digital has, a few more pixels on my screen have not improved my life that much. You know what I mean? But we're sold the fact that it does, right? You have 10% more pixels, a sharper screen. Now, your dollar has been devalued to where you can't afford that shit anymore. But if you still could, then you would get a sharper screen. We're tricked and brainwashed into believing that this technology is the future, and we're it's going to make us happy and shit. And now with the AI, and it's all bullshit. People were happier back when times were simpler and screens were a little more fuzzy. I didn't know the difference back then. I did not know that there could be a sharper image. It was good enough for me. I could see Bugs Bunny on there. So, I could see Mario on there jumping around. Yeah, Artis, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, we're innately born right. We know the difference between right and wrong. Or you mean right leaning? Oh, morals. Yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, Jody, X marks the spot. And yeah, Artis, man makes laws. And most of our laws, if you look in the books and shit, most of our laws are victimless crimes, and it's just a way for the government to blackmail you and take your money, right? I mean, honestly, who am I hurting if I do 50 miles an hour in a 30-mile an hour zone? I don't hit anybody. I don't do any damage to any property. I just zip through there. Let's say it's 2 o'clock in the morning. I want to get home and I'm perfectly sober. Nothing, and nobody else is on the road. There's just a cop sitting there. But they put a number on a sign that says 30. So I get a $250 fine. No damage was done. There's no victim. Nothing. Why? What's the point? To take my money. That's it. And it would be okay if it was relaxed to the point where, hey dude, what you're doing, there's too much traffic here right now. This is dangerous. You have to use moral judgment. I am allowed to give you a $250 fine right now. Okay? I can do that. But I'm going to let you off with a warning. Or I can give you a $250 fine right now, and I'm going to do it because you're putting other people in danger. All right? Or if you zip through there at 2 o'clock in the morning when nobody's there, and the cop pulls you over and says, hey, there was nobody here, but I just want you to realize there's that if you do this while you're during the day while there's a lot of traffic, you can get a ticket. All right, whatever. But they don't play those. They don't use common sense. Then if the cop gives you a ticket at 2 o'clock in the morning when no one's there, and you go to a judge and you say, hey, there was no one there. No, I couldn't harm anyone else. There could not be any victim. You'll still get, you still have to pay the fine. So there's no common sense that goes into our justice system. It's just robbery. Now, if they would use common sense and actually enforce laws when there was at least a danger of harming someone else, then you could say, okay, but the way it is, it's just robbery. You out of here, Bucky? All right, be cool, buddy. Thanks for stopping by, man. Yeah, revenue reapers. Yeah, Felix. Yeah, you're right. And that's all it is. You can hit a button on your Pioneer mixer and remove vocals. I did not even know that was possible, dude. No shit. Oh, that's pretty damn cool. Yeah, I couldn't be a cop crab, man, because everybody, unless they actually harm somebody, I wouldn't give them a ticket. I might give them a warning or something if I pulled them over. You know what I mean? Uh, I wouldn't want to give them a ticket. Some guy speeding, trying to get to work on time in the morning, and I'm going to give him a ticket. So obviously, he's hurting for money. He's trying to make it to work on time. He's trying to do the right thing for his family. And I'm going to make it harder on him. And that at least there's the ability there to create crime, because if you put that guy in enough dire straits by fining him for this bullshit, these regulations and shit, now he might get desperate and do something else to provide for his family. So yeah, it's the system is messed up. It's not broken. It's working perfectly fine the way it's designed to work. It's designed to rob us, impoverish us, and keep us in control. And that's what it's doing. It just I hope these younger kids start waking up to this shit earlier than I did. You know what I mean? And not that I wasn't some kind of leftist climate alarmist bullshit. I just didn't care. You know what I mean? And I still kind of don't. I would hope for the apocalypse to fix this shit a lot of times. But I go back, and like I said, I go back and forth between, we need to fix it and it can't be fixed. You know what I mean? Just, there's too many stupid people out there. There's too many people out there that are trying to put us in some kind of dystopian control. And I would be okay with it except for the control issue, right? I don't want some despot, some dictator, some government controlled bureaucracy controlling every aspect of my life. I don't like being told what to do. I just want to be free. I want freedom. I want to be able to go make an OnlyFans if I want. I want to be able to go move to Las Vegas and be a prostitute if I want. I want to be able to do whatever the hell I want, as long as I'm not hurting someone else. Don't tell me what to do. Don't track me and monitor me and listen to my conversations. I don't want any of that shit. So that's what I'm against. The taking away of our freedoms, not I don't want to instill all my moral beliefs on someone else. They can have their own moral beliefs. Don't take away my freedoms. Don't erase my culture, because that is the core of Western civilization is freedom. That's the thing, right? And that go all the way up to being LGBTQ. People should be free to be as queer as they want to be. What is wrong with that? As long as they're not hurting anyone else. I don't give a shit. Freedom is the highest standard. That's one of the problems I actually have with the whole Muslim thing. They'll stone gay people to death over there. All right? Yeah, I don't think that LGBTQ should be pushed out onto the public and onto brainwashed into children and shit. Yeah, no, that's wrong too. That's wrong. But it's also wrong to try to erase people because they don't observe the same beliefs that you do. I'm about freedom. I mean, honestly, to the core, freedom. I want to be free, and I want everybody else to be free. So that's where I stand with that shit, man. Yeah, I think they are, and it just comes with growing up, artiste. It comes with growing up. Yeah, yeah, exactly, Jody. Yeah, take away your license for missing child support, and then in taking away your license, they take away your ability to pay child support, to get a job and pay child support. Yeah, it's completely bass backwards. Yeah, yeah, exactly, undergrad. I'd hardly ever give a ticket unless they were being complete. They would have to be completely sideways for me to give them a ticket, dude. Oh yeah, there are good ones, Ezekiel. I have been let off with warnings, flat out breaking the law on the road, speeding or whatever, running a stoplight or whatever, I have been let off more often than I've gotten tickets. No. So, yeah, I don't have a problem with every officer. I'm not saying all cops are bad. I have a problem with the system itself, the way it's built. Yeah. Yeah, freedom from oppression, Jody, exactly. Yeah, drag queen story time and all that shit, Chad, exactly. That should not be forced on kids. Nothing should be, right? Nothing should be forced upon children that the parents don't want forced on them. You know? If you want to bring a drag queen to your house and have them have story hour in your living room for your kids, that's on you. I don't agree with it, but should you have the freedom to do that? Yes. Yes. But for them to do it in a school, in a public school, a federally funded, taxpayer funded public school, no. Absolutely not. Oh, okay. In Florida, that's not the way it is in Florida. They just take your shit. Yeah, they don't give a damn. You miss a payment or whatever. I don't know how many payments it is. I've never paid child support, so I don't know how many payments it is. But they just take you. They take your license. Yeah, everyone, not just professional or whatever. Um, yeah, everyone. And they don't give a shit if you're trying to evade. They don't even ask you if it's in the system that you missed 2 payments or 3 payments or whatever. Your driver's license just gets suspended automatically by the algorithm. No human beings looked at your file or anything to see if you're evading or anything like that. Nope, it just automatically gets suspended. Yeah, exactly, Tripwire. I may not morally agree with something, but I will fight to the bone to defend your ability to do it. Yeah, as long as it's not harming someone else. Yeah. Wins at the casino held for child support. Yeah. Oh, Snyder, what's up, Snyder? Glad to see you, man. I pulled you over just to compliment you on your ride, huh, Underground? Yeah, there are good cops out there, dude. There are cops out there who are just good people. Yeah. Yep. A lot of people join the police force because they feel it's just something they feel like they need to do. They want to protect people. They want to serve the community. There are people out there that do that. Yeah. So I do not put some kind of blanket statement like all cops are bad, defund the police, or any of that bullshit. No. The system behind the police is what is screwed. It's not broken, it's working perfectly fine, but it is designed to screw us. And it needs to be changed so that the good police can be good police and to even make bad police into good police. Dog Karma, hey, good morning. Yeah, yeah, you're right about that, Chad. Yeah. And that's one of the reasons people aren't having kids because dudes don't want to be saddled with child support for 18 years. You know what I mean? So that's another reason for the decline in childbirths. Joe P, my boy Joe, what's up? What's the weather like over there, Joe? Oh, all right, Ortiz. Oh, body cameras. We're supposed to keep them honest. Yeah. Um, yeah, but it's in my the bad ones. You say you have a bad incident. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the body camera. The only thing that matters is what the judge says. Your That body camera footage could show anything. it could show, Daffy Duck beating up Scooby-Doo and shit, and it wouldn't matter. The judge, whatever the judge says goes. Our justice system here in the United States is fundamentally just screwed. It's operated on the whim of judges who can just, do literally whatever they want. Right? I mean, they don't go too far outside the bounds, but, just because they would create a public outcry and, shine a spotlight on themselves. But no judge, when's the last time you heard of a judge being dragged off and thrown into jail for something or anything? And you're telling me that no judges do bad stuff? Ever? Ever. Judges have free reign. It doesn't matter if you're innocent. The judge knows you're innocent. He can throw you in prison, and there's nothing to be done about it. You can appeal it, and then you're just relying on the next judge to go against the first judge, right? In the appeals court. So you're rolling the dice again, hoping you get an honest judge with and there are very, very few of them. You're hoping you get an honest judge with a moral compass who doesn't want to see an innocent person go to prison, rot in prison, and that they will stand up and point out that the sentencing judge was wrong, and they don't do that to each other. So it's completely screwed. Yeah, Tripwire. I don't know how it is over there in Australia. I assume it's close to the way it is here in the United States. But that's the problem with law. That's also the problem with our politics, because 90% of our politicians are lawyers. They come from a corrupt, screwed up system, and they're going into another corrupt, screwed up system, and they're just keeping the corruption wheel turning, and the deceit, the thievery, the shady deals, the blackmail, all that shit. It's all disgusting. Oh, okay. No, you made it, Shannon. Beer and pizza, the food of the gods. Oh, all right. All right. Glad to hear it, Joe P. I hope we get some sun here today. Yesterday it was overcast all day, overcast and chilly with a wind. Yeah, Artis, that's yeah, no man has the right to have authority over another man. Yeah. Judges should just be like referees, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? They should wear the striped shirts and it should be just them and the jury, a trial by your peers, and that's it. That a judge should not have any say or any bearing on the thing. But the judge has way too much power. Way too much. Any power is too much. But yeah, Ezekiel, yeah. Anything and everything can be corrupted for the right price. You're absolutely right. Okay, yeah. There, yeah. I can't imagine going to jail and being innocent, really, truly being innocent, and just going to jail for that shit. Yeah, I don't know what that would be like. I would be so angry. Holy shit, sitting in a cell in a cage and you've done nothing wrong. And because you've done nothing wrong, they had no proof. Zero proof that you'd done anything wrong. They may have contrived some bullshit evidence, but they had no proof, and they threw you in jail. That is one of the most heinous of things that is done, right? Throwing someone in jail with no proof. Even if they're guilty, they should need proof, not just an evidence and a sparkling bullshitter of a prosecuting attorney. So yeah, that's heinous shit. Yeah, fuming would. I would be so irate and angry. Yeah, yeah, Trip. His judge's surname should be Dread. Yeah, law over there sucks too. All right, Trip. Yeah. See, we're pretty much in the same boat, almost identical. I mean, it changed the name of some things, like y'all might have a prime minister instead of a president, but you're still getting screwed just as much as we are. Same shit across the board. Yeah, yeah, that happens regular. Felix, yeah. Yeah, I know, but there has to be some way, Chad. You're right. Jury of my peers is nonsense too, but there's got to be some way, some kind of a trial to to find out whether you are guilty or innocent, right? Some kind of proceeding. In my view, Chad, there should be no prisons, right? If I get caught out there pissing on the sidewalk or whatever and I get found guilty of it, I should spend a weekend in the stocks, drunken in public, whatever the crime is. I should spend a weekend in the stocks, let people throw fruit at me. Okay. The next time it happens, Jesse, you're losing a hand, dude. That's the, that's the second strike. I don't give a shit if you were stealing bubble gum or anything. That two strikes and you lose a hand. The third strike is a tree and a short rope. That's it. Done. It's done. That would the thing with that is that you wouldn't be hanging millions of people for petty crimes. Nobody would be committing petty crimes anymore because the deterrent would stop them. I'm not losing my hand. You go steal that bubble gum all you want. You do your weekend in the stocks, but I'm not losing a hand over some bubble gum. Screw you, dude. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm not doing that. I've already got one strike. Whatever the thing is, there should be no, sit years in jail. It should be quick, get and public, and justice should be served. There should be no question that justice was served. If you're innocent and you have to spend a weekend in the stocks, no big deal. If you're innocent and you spend 3 years in prison, you know what I'm saying? So there's a big difference there. Yeah, that is serious nightmare fuel, Shannon. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, crab man. That's it's horrendous, dude. To see an innocent person go to prison, especially when they're railroaded. If the system makes a mistake and someone accidentally goes once in a blue moon, that's one thing. But to be railroaded when the prosecuting attorney knows that they don't have the evidence and there's no way that they can prove it, but they can just talk the jury into it. You know what I mean? That's bullshit. It's crazy. It's crazy that we allow this. Yeah, someone's word versus yours, zero proof. Yeah, underground, that's exactly what I'm talking about, dude. Sprink, what's up, Sprink? Yeah, oh yeah, okay. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about, Sprink. There's no I don't give, and y'all might not believe me, but I do not give a shit if the person is guilty. There must be proof, not some circumstantial evidence, and convince a jury that you're guilty. You know what I'm saying? That's not enough to take away someone's life. They need to have proof, DNA evidence, blood at the scene. Blood, your DNA on the murder weapon, something real solid proof. Not that I saw a guy with that same colored jacket walking out of the house the night before and I own that jacket, or whatever. Not that kind of circumstantial shit. It's not enough to take away somebody's life or a second of their freedom. So no, I don't. Nope. I'm not with that shit. Yeah, I agree with the three strikes thing. I just don't agree with prisons and jail time at all. Maybe jail. Okay, jail, because you've got to have a place to keep dangerous people out of the public until they're tried or whatever. So jail. I don't believe in prisons. Sentencing two people for to decades in a prison, if they're that if they're that dangerous to the public, then uh, why? Why are we wasting our time? Why are we wasting that much money, taxpayer money, enriching these? Prisons are privately owned, for those of you who don't know. Uh, each state probably has one state owned and state ran penitentiary, but most prisons are privately owned. It's a privately owned industry, just like Walmart or the Federal Reserve. They're privately owned, but they don't make that public. They tell they act like prisons are government facilities. They're not. They're just privately owned companies, just like Walmart or anything else. But their business is to keep people in cages, not to provide you with a service. Uh, so yeah, I don't. No, prisons should not exist. Justice should be swift, immediate, and the next level. The next level of justice. If you commit a crime again, your next level of justice should be severe, public, and swift. And then the next one, three strikes. And yeah, if you're too dumb to obey the law by then, well, you're done. You know what I'm saying? If we don't want to hang them from trees, then just take an island out there and just put them out on that island and let them live like Lord of the Flies until for the rest of their life out there, away from the public, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, no bail. 13 months before giving him a bail hearing. Yeah, see, that's the kind of shit that all based on evidence, even if it's real evidence, all based on evidence and no proof. But it was probably just circumstantial evidence. If he was innocent, then there was no proof. There could be no proof. If the man is innocent, then there can be no proof. That's the nature of innocence. I didn't do it. You can't prove I did it because I didn't. It's literally impossible for you to prove I did something that I didn't do. All you can do is show a bunch of bullshit manufactured circumstantial evidence. Yeah, no, I don't agree with that. Emojis are easy to track, artiste. Yeah. Yeah, corporate owned prisons, Ezekiel. Yeah. Yeah. I just don't believe in that. I don't believe in, putting someone away for decades and then making all of the rest of the public pay for them to exist. I think that's wrong. Call me crazy if you want. I just think that's wrong. Yes, they make it, the federal government pays them for every prisoner they have in their institution, and the state signs a contract with the privately owned corporation to keep their prison full to 98% capacity or whatever. So if people quit committing crimes, the state will still have to arrest you and put you in prison just to so they don't break that contract. Luckily, we commit crimes, luckily for the state, so they don't have to break that contract. But just, supposedly saying, let's just say everybody quits committing crimes, you're still getting arrested so the state can honor its contract. They'll just have to pass laws against, breathing or watching Gen X Thinks or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So they can throw you in jail and put you in prison. Oh, well, glad to have you here, Sprinkle. Glad you could make it. Yeah, our live streams, we have a lot of fun in the live streams. The chat is the biggest part. You know, I've learned so much from everyone in the chat during our live streams. So all of y'all in the chat get a lot of credit for making the Gen X Thinks live streams what they are. You know what I mean? So yeah. But yeah, we have a lot of fun with our live streams. Tonight we'll have another one at 8 p.m. tonight. That's Eastern time. And then we do one, what is it? Saturday, Tuesday, and Thursday mornings at this time. And then the big one is Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern time. We do a big live stream then, 2 hours long. But sorry, I have to take off. So I'm gonna have to say goodbye to everyone. I ran a little over today, but we were having a good time, so I didn't want to break off too soon. I'll just have to move a little faster, getting ready for work this morning. All right, so I'm gonna say goodbye to Sprinkle, Artiste, Electronic Music Underground, Crabman, Tripwire, Felix, Shannon, Ezekiel, Arnis. Who else we got? Joe P was in here. Oliver Rust, R. Snyder, Crabman, of course, Crabman, my boy Crabman. Bucky already took off on us though. Jeff 7, Dog Karma, Chad, Jody, can't forget Jody. OG Burn Paul contributed a lot to the conversation this morning. So thank you to all of you. Oh, Living and Active, I can't forget my boy Living. Retro, who was that? Retro Doomsday. Goodbye, Retro. All right, who was that? Cashman, Woke Up. Okay, we had quite a few new faces this morning, didn't we? All right, Namsha Spa. I've seen Namsha in here before, but goodbye, Namsha. All right, I think I got everyone this morning. If I did not say your name, goodbye nonetheless. Thank you for showing up this morning. I appreciate you contributing to the conversation. There are always amazing conversations here on Gen X Thinks. So thank you so much to everyone for coming and hanging out with me this morning. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, Sprinkle, yeah, you can't file them. Yeah, that's the legal system is just a mess. Yeah. All right, so I am going to, let's see, where's my thing? Oh, yeah, I got it. All right, so now I'm going to go over to my spiel, which I have pre-recorded now. Save myself a hoarse throat for saying all that stuff. So goodbye, everyone. Thank you for showing up. I really appreciate it. And you can mute my spiel if you want, but it'll give everybody time to say goodbye here on the chat. All right. And I'll see you this evening at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and comment. If you'd like to support Gen X Thinks by becoming a member, I'll put that link down in the description, or you can head over to the channel page and become a member that way. I appreciate all the members down in the banner down here. Their support is invaluable, so thank you very much to all the existing members. I really do appreciate it. If you'd like to support the channel directly, you can do so by clicking on that super thanks button down there. Or you can hit that hype button. The hype button is something new that YouTube has come up with for smaller channels like mine, and I really do appreciate those of you who take a second and punch that hype button for me. It helps out a lot, so thank you very much. If you're interested in Gen X gear, we got some pretty cool stuff over there at Redbubble. Gen X Thinks and Gen X branded stuff, t-shirts, coffee mugs, ball caps, stickers, all kinds of cool stuff. But I'll leave that link down in the description for any of you who are interested. If you can't or don't want to support the channel in any of those ways, you can always do so by sharing these videos on your social media. That helps out one hell of a lot, so thank you very much to those of you who do that. And if you have any ideas for future episodes of Gen X Thinks, please put those down in the comments. Or you can email us, and the email is genxthinks@gmail.com. And as always, stay frosty, Gen X, and I'll see you on the next one.